I haven't been too impressed with the episodes from the show so far, but I have been rooting for Star Wars, wanting them to turn things around with what remains of the Disney series, The Acolyte. Now with a whole heap of Jedi, new alien races, and loads of new planets from what we've seen so far, can Disney turn it around in episode 5? The galaxy is on the edge. Darkness rises as the Jedi face unforeseen threats. Jedi Master Sol and his Padawan, Osha, dig deeper into the secrets that could destabilise the Jedi Order. Meanwhile, Osha's twin sister, May, is manipulated by a shadowy master to eliminate key Jedi figures. The central conflict intensifies as Sol and Osha race against time to uncover the truth, while May's actions create tension and danger within the Order. Star Wars The Acolyte continues to explore the final days of the High Republic, revealing the origins of the Sith's return. Can the Jedi uncover hidden threats and prevent the impending darkness? And is episode 5 of The Acolyte a must-watch for Star Wars fans? Now with episode 5, it's a pretty good recovery by Disney. I think it's got everything in there that you can ask for from a Star Wars series. Now there might be some minor improvements to be made, but actually it's a pretty good overall episode, with lots packed into it with what you would associate Star Wars with. And when I think of previous episodes like episode 3 and episode 4, episode 3 having a lot of lingering questions and episode 4 being rushed all the way through, I think it's actually had a real good impact on the viewing experience for the audience. With episode 5 now introduced, I actually think this is a great stepping stone for where things can kick on and really get interesting. Now for me, episode 5 had me completely engrossed, with all the unexpected developments and intensifying danger. The battle sequences and depth coupled together with the added character dynamics made it all that more entertaining. Now as we know, we're getting 8 30 to 45 minute episodes each week, with each episode varying in length, and episode 5 being roughly 30 minutes long. Now, the storyline for the episode dives deeper into the rising darkness that's affecting the Jedi Order. Jedi Master Sol and Osha now start to uncover who the masked Sith Lord actually is, as they now come to the conclusion of their investigation. Meanwhile, Osha's twin sister May has now started to show signs through her development with a change of heart. The episode reveals increasing sinister forces and the strain it places on the Jedi unity and resolve as they're put to the test when they finally come face to face with the Sith Lord. Now for me, they've made a really good recovery episode, and there's pure action. We get to see the Jedi take on the Sith in numbers, which we haven't really seen since the Clone Wars. And for me, I found it really enjoying because you get to see how dark things can really start to get and spiral out of control for the Jedi Order. And the most exciting thing of all is the mystery is unveiled. We get to see who the Sith Lord is. So the action covered with the mystery being unfolded is just absolute stellar entertainment. Now I really like how engaged the episode had me, because there were so many key pieces delivered and loads to digest. And this almost had me spoilt for choice, creating a list and having to think about what I was going to talk about. Now it's crazy to think how turbulent the episodes have been in the series so far, but this is a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I love the mystery unveiling when it comes to the Sith Lord and his true identity. Someone that you just wouldn't expect if you don't look at social media, that is. They've completely fixed the lightsabers situation, so it made that even more entertaining when you're looking at those battle sequences. There's a lot of characters coming face to face in this episode, and it's characters that are finally coming into contact with each other that haven't had that engagement level so far. And it is really powerful in driving that development forward through for the characters. And not only that, but Disney are now spoiling us. Where one mystery finishes, another one begins. And we get to see Jedi Master Sol being put on the spot as his new mystery comes into the fold. And that's probed by the face-to-face sequence between the Sith Lord and Sol, which is to do with his Padawan, Osha. And I have to say that one of the sequences had me absolutely engrossed when I made the connection between that thread into Star Wars The Clone Wars and into this episode. There is a sequence where Jackie is fighting against May and she gets 2 lightsabers, and we've seen that in the Clone Wars with Anakin taking on Count Dooku, and it was such a nice scene to watch. And the really enjoying thing about all of this in this episode was the fact that we get to see not only the unveiling of the Sith Lord, but we get to see his fighting abilities. It's an unorthodox type of fight style, showing and displaying how strong that Sith Lord actually is. He's taking on all of these Jedi, and it is on the edge of your seat stuff. Now for me, the storyline of this episode ran very well, and it's got me to the point where I'm really excited for episode 3. I thought the pacing of the episode was really good. I think it was a steady pace. I don't think they rushed us, and I don't think they really were too slow. I think they got that balance just right. Considering in episode 4 it was pretty rushed. I really like the slight lingering in the scenes, because it allows for key development to take place, which added to the enjoyment. Now there are some lingering questions, but not in a bad way. I think the lingering questions actually do the opposite, and they're a good thing. And I've narrowed them down to 3. What is the backstory to the Sith Lord, and how did he become the Sith Lord? Who trained this Sith Lord? And what's Jedi Master Sol hiding from Osha? Now this episode is starring Lee Jung-jae playing the role of Jedi Master Sol, Amanda Steinberg, who's playing both May and Osha, Charlie Barnett, who's playing Yord Fanda, and Daphne Keane, who's playing Jackie Lon. For spoiler purposes, I definitely want to mention the Sith Lord, but if I mention the Sith Lord, it's going to give it away, and I don't want to do that to you. So we're going to leave that individual to one side. But for me, the standout performances for this episode have to be the Sith Lord, Jedi Master Sol, May, Osha, Yord, and Jackie. The one to watch out of the ones to watch, I would have to say the Sith Lord. They completely steal the show in this. We get brought into the loop of the identity, which is a jaw-dropper. The excitement that's added into this series now is the development of the Sith Lord, and how that character came to be. Now we get to see some pretty cool character development, one being the solo element, and the other being more of a one-to-one interaction. With Jedi Master Sol, he's the main character that comes face-to-face with the Sith Lord. We get to see Jedi Master Sol in battle action, as he takes on the mysterious Sith Lord. And what's really cool to see is his vulnerability that continues to increase as we move further towards the conclusion of the episode. And with that vulnerability, what makes it even more exciting is how it sort of intensifies as we move through the episode, which adds to the episode's story arc. Amanda, playing as both May and Osha, continue to show the internal battles that are being had between good and evil, and this came out even more when they came face to face with each other. With May, we start to see how she doesn't want to continue her journey with the Sith Lord, which stays consistent from what we've seen in episode 4. With Osha, it's interesting because we start to see her want to forgive her sister, but then she almost just immediately snaps out of it, and she's right back to her distrust towards May, because she can't forget the past. Charlie Barnett as Yord does have some interesting development in this too. He obviously did have a good relationship with Osha in the past, and what's interesting to see is, throughout the course of this series, he's always had a bit of a balancing act that he's got to deal with, where the one that's sort of led the majority of this show has been his pride and feeling the need to have to prove something to everyone, that he deserves the rank of Jedi Knight. And then on the other hand is his care and relationship for Osha, which has sort of lagged behind. Whereas in this episode, we finally see a displacement where the opposite is actually happening, and he's finally looking to choose his relationship with Osha over the pride that he's got to prove to everyone that he deserves the rank of Jedi Knight. And Daphne Keane as Jackie was awesome in this episode. We get to see her attributes amplified, where we've always known, based on the episode in this series, that she's a very loyal and a very letter to the law, following the rules type of individual. But in this, we get to see it on steroids. And her development is interesting because it's developed based on the actions that she takes. She made a promise to Osha that she would come face to face with May, and she followed through on that promise when push come to shove in this episode. Now, the really cool thing about this episode is that I really loved the fact that we've managed to find out and get the revealing of who the Sith Lord actually is. But like I said, with one mystery ending, another is starting. And Jedi Master Sol is hiding something from his Padawan Osha. I thought it was a brilliant little plot element to add in, because it's all being fueled by the darkness of the Sith Lord. Because in the battle sequence between Sol and the Sith, they're actually hinting and putting things in motion to sort of disrupt the two's relationship. Now for me, the episodes before in this series were a little turbulent. The first 2 episodes were okay. And then we come to episode 3, which brought about a lot of unanswered questions. And then episode 4, which was simply rushed. Thankfully, with episode 5, we're provided unveiling and clarity, with the story now starting to deliver in the right way, and expectations starting to be satisfied. When I think about the visuals for this episode, the lightsabers are the standout for me, fueling my enjoyment. Visually, this wouldn't be a Star Wars live-action series focused on the Jedi without some lightsaber action. For me, I really liked the fact that they brought the battle sequence into this. But not only that, they've fixed the lightsaber battling. The weapons now fixed adds so much more enjoyment and suspense for this episode, and in turn, the whole rest of the series. I can't help but think that they could have done this a little bit earlier on in the series, maybe episode 3 or 4. But saying that, the fact that they've fixed the lightsabers makes this so much more enjoyable. We might not get a new planet in this episode, but we continue to get immersed into Kofar, as well as the unveiling of the Sith Lord and the battle scenes. For me, the emphasis between the connection of mood and lighting, along with what's happening across the sequence of events, when I come to think about the cinematography, makes it all the more enjoyable of a combination, making it more inviting and enjoyable in comparison to other episodes or Star Wars series, which holds focus for us as the audience. Out of all of the episodes that we've covered in the series so far, this by far has to be my favourite one. It's a packed episode with a lot of elements unfolding, adding depth to the characters' story arcs. It does make me think, if they were to have incorporated this level of consistency throughout, instead of just waiting for episode 5, then overall they could have had a great success. Now that's not to say that that's not the plan for the rest of the season, but I do think they might have missed a trick here. Overall, I found the episode to be actually a really good watch. The storyline is enjoyable and engaging, coupled with the big reveal of the Sith Lord. We get closer to the characters in their development as their personalities are brought out even more, with their actions being a direct reflection and representation of how they are, which adds a lot of depth. Although we might have not had any planets introduced, we finally get lightsabers galore, with the impressive sequences surrounding the battles. As someone who's a big Star Wars fan, thanks to episode 5, I'm now looking forward to where the series is going to take us next. I give episode 5 of The Acolyte 4 out of 5 buckets, meaning it's a binge-watching blockbuster. If you've been watching the show, what do you hope to see from the remaining episodes? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and follow us on all social media channels to stay up to date with the latest content. I'm Matthew, this is Binge Watcher, thanks for binging with me.